Well, hello everybody. It's Marilyn Hawes again. Goodness me, don't the weeks go fly by? I can't believe it's Friday again. Anyway, lovely to see you. So I am with Unprecedented TV with my show called Heart and Soul, and you can find us on YouTube under Unprecedented TV. But I'm also CEO of Freedom from Abuse, and that's a CIC, which is like a charity, where we raise awareness about grooming and getting people aware of how to spot issues of abuse before it really gets bad, because there's far too much of it happening in society today. We do training across the country, online as well. But for Heart and Soul, I'm inviting people who have got a story to tell. Maybe they've had a tragedy, maybe they've got a really interesting job that not many of us hear about. And then please, if you want to be that person and I haven't contacted you, just give me a shout on Unprecedented TV and let's get you on. And together we will discuss also, if you've got a gritty subject, it's I like to kick the elephant out of the room, because I think a lot of people who suddenly something happens in their life that you never foresaw, and people avoid you, and your reality needs some oxygen because other people don't really want to know. But anyway, today that's not the case, because this is perfect timing today. The gods are really working in my favor. I am very welcoming and very excited to be talking to Gilly Baldock. Welcome, Gilly.
Well, thank you. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you.
Well, it's lovely. I'm really interested in this, because you won't believe this. Let me just give a little brief on Gilly. Two very different things. She's married to a vicar, but she also had a job, still does, with politics. Now, what perfect timing to talk about politics. I just think it's a bit of a pantomime at the moment, but you'll be able to help us understand it better. But before then, Gilly, because I'm nosy, I like people to get to know the person, you know what I mean? Because you represent Mentor Politicus, which we'll talk about in a minute. But how did you ever get into politics? Frankly, it's the last thing I'd want to do.
Yes. Oh gosh, well, I fell into it. So I had my epiphany on a date on the 23rd of June 2016, which I think most people will remember that date. So Brexit. So that night, I literally, I just couldn't go to bed. And so in this household, my husband would be the more political one. And anyway, about midnight, he went off to bed, and I thought the results were beginning to come through. And I just thought, I'll just wait for one set of results. I'll come up to bed. And then the next set, the next set, the next set, the next set. And I think it was at 20 to 5 in the morning, the results came through. It's either 20 to 5 or 20 to 6. And I was jumping around the room, and I didn't even know I felt like that. It was just the most amazing thing. And at the time I was working for an organisation called Street Pastors, which is a group of people that basically, it's a Christian organisation. They go around at night time, in the nighttime economy, and if somebody's perhaps a little bit worse for wear, they'll help them hand out flip-flops so girls can take off their 4-inch high heels, and it cuts down on people getting injuries through broken glass, etc., etc. And then through that, I got to meet an MSP who wanted to come and visit us. And so his name was Brian Whittle. And basically, to cut a very long story short, about sort of the following February, March time, I ended up as his caseworker. So I kind of went from a mum to jumping around about Brexit, and literally a few months later, ending up as a caseworker for a member of the Scottish Parliament, and just incredible. Here's your laptop, off you go. And that's what we did. Yeah, so that was my entry into it.
What did that mean then? Did you have to go and find case studies or what?
So if you're an MP or an MSP or in one of the devolved parliaments, basically your constituents write to you. So it might be an NHS problem, could be potholes. I literally did everything from potholes to historic child sex abuse and everything in between.
That's interesting because, yeah, when my son, I mean, I think now politics, if you are a politics student, this must be a really interesting time because this is going to go down in history and will be 100 years from now. This year, this time is going to be in those books and the statute books. And my son came out of uni and he began doing sort of what you did, but he was like the research assistant for Rob Wilson, who was a Tory person. He found it really interesting because you get all the, that's right, I see what you mean now, you get all the letters and the complaints and all of that, and he did the research and set up the meetings and he loved it. And he worked in have you ever worked in the Houses of Westminster? Have you been in Parliament?
So I have been in Parliament and occasionally I would go over to Holyrood,
Yeah.
but normally I was based in the constituency office.
Oh, right. Yeah. So was he until it was knocking on doors time and all that. So you were, am I right in saying, would that have been because of an election or something? Were you made redundant?
So that was last May. I was made redundant, or just before. So that was so. And prior to then, I was working at West Northamptonshire Council, and so I went from caseworker to being a political assistant with them for 4 years. So it was a new unitary authority formed in 2021, and I started in the November. And literally, again, given a laptop, get on with it. Didn't have a clue, but goodness me, over those sort of 4 years, I learned a lot. So I have a very intimate understanding of how local government works, the committee system, what I maybe like to sometimes call the enemy within. Other people might refer to them as officers. So I worked for the administration, which meant I looked after the cabinet, so 10 members of the cabinet and a further 49 backbenchers. So it was a very big administration. So looking after all the councillors, one of which happened to be Lucy Connolly's husband. So
I was going to ask you about that because this is how I met you. Because I was trying, I was trying to find Lucy, and then the lovely Charlotte said, "Oh, go through Mentor Politicus." I mean, that is a very sort of Latin type name. I mean, how do you come up with that?
So, well, I'm really into plants, and so I really love Latin names. So I'm not a scholar of Latin, but I just love it. And I just wanted something that sounded sort of a little bit different, sort of implies politics, but also implies, you know, looking after people, training and helping them navigate those corridors of power, really.
I think it actually sounds incredibly intelligent as well. It's quite posh. Mentor Politicus. I mean, I studied Latin. I only got far as Amoa, Massa, Mant and all that. And I got 9% and I was chucked out the class. But I was glad I learnt it because I love doing crosswords. And the English language comes so from that, doesn't it? As does Portuguese, which I used to speak fluently. But let me just dive off for a minute because do you have children, by the way?
Yes, I have 3 children, and my husband has 3 as well, so we kind of have 6 between us.
Great. I mean, I want to ask you this question because I've been asked it several times, funnily enough, and on media shows. Do you think, I know what I think, but we'll see what you think. Do you think religion and politics mix? Should they, do they, or don't they?
I think it's absolutely fine, 100%. I think it's sort of like the opposite sides of a coin, really. And I think biblically, Jesus often kind of like referred to things. So like, I think somebody says something about, you know, should we pay our taxes? And he said, well, who's on the back of the coin? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yes. I think so, because I think there has to be an element of that, because you know, you want to do right by people, and this is how I see it. You want to do right by people, you want good things for people. I am going to get a little bit political here because I think it absolutely shows that Keir Starmer is atheist, and he has no empathy, he's got no warmth, he's narcissistic, he's controlling. And I don't find he has any warmth because at all, he's very much his own man. And I think that atheism, if you like, shows in what he's doing. It's no, I mean, Lucy Connolly, she was on my show last week. And so please tell me how that, because what upsets me about things is what happened to Lucy. And she was very expansive about it, wasn't she? But also when you think about, this lady's also going to come on my show, the terrible killing of and other mothers' children as well, but Siobhan White and Rhiannon White, that poor woman, and I know there's other people who have lost their children, there has been nothing from him nor Labour to any form of empathy or compassion at all. And I think you do need that in politics to a degree. I really do. Yeah. And I was interested because I've been asked it a lot, and I don't know why, but on media shows, and that's how I feel about it, that you give a little bit more to the situation if you have that faith. I mean, so how did you get involved with Lucy then? Did you already know her?
No. So can I just get back to the point about Keir?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I think as a country, you should always be very, very concerned if the person who's meant to be leading your country has no faith whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because I think our morals, everything we have, whether we go to church or not, actually, if we track it back, comes from a Christian foundation. We might not know it, but that's been embedded in our culture as we've gone through the years. And so, like you say, you look at Keir Starmer and he's dead from the neck up.
He's like a robot. There's nothing. I always say the eyes are the window of the soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is nothing behind his eyes. Zero. There is no warmth. There is no, and I when I meet people, I look at their eyes and that connects to my instinct straight away. And I know immediately, yeah, you can be on my side, or I'm getting the heebie-jeebies about you. I don't feel, and I don't stop and think about it. I get that feeling, that kick in my stomach, and I will move away. I will watch and see, did I make the decision? And I've found every time in my life I have made that right decision. The only time I didn't was when I was so badly groomed by the guy who abused my kids, because I was going through divorce. I was vulnerable. But now I will not give someone, if my instinct is going and I don't, and they're not making eye contact, I can't see what's behind the eyes, then that's it, I'm out. And his eyes are dead. You're absolutely right. His eyes are dead. And I just feel, I'm sorry to bring that up, but I just think this is the best interview to do right now because of what's happening. So moving on to that, then you felt compassion for Lucy? What happened there?
Gosh, so initially, yes, obviously when it all happened, I felt compassion for Ray. So Ray being one of my 60. So I was on holiday at the time. I was on enforced leave because I live in Northern Ireland at the moment, but I was working from West Northamptonshire Council, and the monitoring officer basically kind of forced me to have 2 weeks leave because she was having issues with me, and she didn't realise that actually Northern Ireland's part of the UK, but that's another issue. So anyway, so I'm on holiday. One of my cabinet members phones me up and says, "Have you heard what's happened to Ray?" And I was like, "No." "Gosh, right, okay. Yeah, tell me, right? Oh, his wife's been arrested. Right, okay, I'll get on to him." So I phoned Ray, and I kind of had a soft spot for Ray anyway, because he was one of what I would have called my newbies. So he would often ring up having little sort of issues to do with school issues and casework and that sort of thing. So I'd got to know him quite well. I'd been on a ward visit with him a couple of times. That's where I would literally go and jump in their car, drive around their wards with them. They would tell me what was going on, etc., etc. So I'd had a couple of coffees with him, and so I already sort of had that sort of warmth towards him, and so phoned him up, and it's like, just awful. you know, his wife had been arrested. I almost couldn't compute what it was that he was saying to me. And but at the same time, I'm also thinking, well, I'm not really hearing much from the leader. I mean, when something like happens like that, would you not think everybody would be going absolutely like, you know, mad? Oh my goodness, this is dreadful. Da, da, da. Crickets. Apart from this one couple of people that contacted me, nothing. So that told me that the Conservative cabinet or group that I was working for were kind of trying to distance themselves from this man who's married to this obviously heinous woman. You know, so politically, oh gosh, we don't want anything to do with that. So because I had that gut feel, I basically said, right, Ray, I will look after you, but I'll do it in my own time. And so that's what we did. And so every time he sort of had a meeting, I went to see Lucy, I would just keep a spreadsheet and I just jot absolutely everything down. And, so I was able to sort of chronologically see what was going on and kind of look at things and work out. So that's my caseworker background coming in.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I'm kind of sort of like, oh, well, that's really interesting. They're doing that. And, and I don't know if you remember, but immediately that it happened, Yvette Cooper came out and she was saying, right, this is going to be dealt with and nobody's going to get away with it. But Keir Starmer also, I think, tweeted like, basically, again, that sort of dead eyes, that people will not get away with this and we will deal with it and we will be swift and so that I basically kept that and I kept trying to reach out to perhaps the local media, but obviously nobody was going to touch the story at all. I did really crazy things like emailed Tucker Carlson in America. I was just like this mad woman, really. Again, got absolutely nothing back. So eventually Ray came into the office one day and he said, oh, this chap called Dan Wootton has contacted me.
It's amazing.
And I was like, wow. If that actually is Dan Wootton and isn't some kind of fake email, then let's look into this. So anyway, so we managed to find out it actually was the Dan Wootton that had contacted us. And we had a phone call with him. And Dan was like, Ray, could you come on tonight at 5:00? And I was sort of like, yes, that's fine. And so thinking, oh my goodness, Ray's had no media exposure whatsoever, apart from being kind of caught on the steps of the court by Sky, which is what had generated Dan's phone call. Because he's very clever. He sort of thought, right, there's a bit more to this, really. So anyway, so went round to Ray's house for 5:00. Rachel got him ready for his podcast. And that's when he went on. And that's when the narrative of the story started to change from him being married to this awful, dreadful woman to, actually, there's a little bit more that's going on here behind the scenes, and then beginning to realize that actually this was very, very politically motivated.
100%.
And if you take out a lovely mummy who has Emma Bridgewater china,
absolutely,
then what does that say to you and me? We're all going to go, oh my goodness, well, I'm just either going to leave social media or I'm going to be very, very careful.
Exactly. And I mean, I swear she was set up. I'm certain, because her email address has got the letters of Tory council wife or something, isn't it? Yeah. But I do, having interviewed her last week, I'm without a doubt, I'm certain. And also we have the wonderful Lord Herman involved, don't we? Who should also be put in the trash can as well. Another great chum of Starmer, again, dead from the neck down. And along with Sadiq Khan, I mean, all three of them should be sent one-way ticket to Mars and stay there and hope they find water.
Yeah,
I mean, he was completely. But what I found, I mean, I said to Lucy last week, I think any of us would have felt like any of us. So she wasn't the only person putting stuff out, but she took it down 3 hours later. And then when all these riots and things were going on, I mean, who wouldn't have felt angry about Southport?
Yeah.
People still are. I still feel angry about it. People have done their job right at the start. And that, I mean, all this prevent nonsense. I mean, it really needs to have another whole look at it. And I mean, as you say, once you unpack it, the story of Southport is really complex. Is it complex? No, people completely screwed up. And then you've got this, I feel as well, with Lucy as well, this two-tier policing, two-tier sentencing. It's dreadful. Because then she said to me, when they were all having these riots, I was putting that on Twitter before I was arrested. Don't do violence. Violence doesn't help, blah, blah, blah. But there was somebody, wasn't there, some sort of redneck who'd gone right through her Twitter account and then found all these tweets. I mean, it was hideous. I mean, I felt sick for her when she was telling me about it.
Yeah, I mean, my own personal sort of hypothesis on this is that, so if you look at the date, so that was the Southport riots were on, or the day of the massacre was 31st of July, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was, just after the general election, so very newbie Prime Minister and his team. But we were sitting, but already I'm thinking May 25 is our local election. So I was already starting to plan that, so anybody political is going to be thinking ahead. You don't leave it till 4 weeks beforehand. So to me, and knowing the people in Ray's ward, so Ray's ward consisted of a councillor called Emma Roberts, who's married to an MP. And then there was, and then they were good friends with the Police and Crime Commissioner as well. Then the MP for Northampton North was Lucy Rigby, who later went on to become Herma's Solicitor General. Mike Reeder, Labour. So it was all, it was a couple of phone calls from somebody to just check out. And also when you're in opposition, you've got loads of time to basically trawl through people's tweets and things. So somebody would have known, gosh, brilliant, that's Ray's wife that's done that. Excellent, brilliant. And so it was, I do think that she was politicized and was basically a pawn in a political war.
100%.
And they thought they would take Ray out. Unfortunately, they did, but that's partly because I can be talking to Reform and saying, could you perhaps just only stand two people, not three? And they stood all three, and otherwise he would have got in. But he was a man who was under a lot of pressure, trying to cope. Being a single dad. It was, he was under a lot of pressure.
And financially, because, I mean, he couldn't have been working. So he
actually was working.
Oh, was he?
But he managed to work. His boss was incredible. But all his money was going on legal fees, which is kind of why the crowdfunder was started.
Incredible.
So did you know about that? So we thought... So I was like, maybe could we sell some merch or something to make some money? And, I was thinking maybe what we could do is we could perhaps get 20 grand or something. And that would perhaps, cover some legal fees. He'd had to sell his car. So it was really difficult for Ray, not just emotionally, but financially as well. So, but basically the crowdfunder exceeded beyond all our wildest dreams. I think at the end of the day, it was maybe approaching £160,000.
Wow. And I think the general public were appalled. I really do. I don't think there's anyone really that doesn't have sympathy for what she went through. I mean, incredible. And of course, there was no reduction in the sentence, was it? She served the 30 months, which, it's 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
that doesn't finish until next March.
No, because she's still under license.
It
has to be very careful what she puts out on X. I mean, and she hasn't. What is great is that she obviously has a resilience that she probably didn't even know she had, because she's survived it. She's come out, and I did have to laugh last week, and I laughed when I was on another media show the other week, and I said, you know, what Herman doesn't realise she's done is he's given her a career.
No, I know. Did they think a woman like Lucy was going to take it lying down?
Well, it's like me, you see, with when that guy abused my kids. I mean, he thought that because I was vulnerable, I was getting divorced, and he obviously thought, oh, you know, he judged it. Every so often, these vile people choose the wrong person, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't. Oh, they get too arrogant, and I mean, I think Starmer's a psychopath or a sociopath. I really do. I really do. I mean, but that, if you think, and I have another saying of mine, that every organisation rots from the top down, and like a fish rots from the head down. And it's true. I've seen it in schools. You know, my thing is, you know, is education. I've seen it in schools. You get a bad head, it goes right the way through the whole team, right through the staff room, everything. You've got a bad leader right now, and no one can find their groove, all the rest of it. You know, it's awful. Going back a bit to your personal life, though, I mean, your children, you've got dad who's a vicar, you've got you who's doing politics. I mean, how do they... I actually think it must be awful to be a child with I always feel sorry for vicars' children, because they can't actually sort of do anything wrong. I'd be so rebellious if it was me. I know I would.
Well, my children. So my husband's, I guess, he's been their stepdad, so maybe slightly different. But no, they all roll with it very well. So I go boy, girl, boy. My eldest is 33. And he's sort of had
you're a child bride. Sorry, but
not quite. But anyway.
Wow.
It's SPF, that's what I use.
No, seriously.
So my eldest, I said to my children recently, I said, I'm so proud of you. None of you have actually gone to university. So it means that none of you have any debt. So this is but they all have kind of life skills, and they're all probably a bit dyslexic as well. So that's probably why the uni route. But so the boys are in recruitment. My daughter's, she works in a further education college, as sort of like helping children with or young people with special needs.
Wow.
But they all sort of the eldest boy has he's kind of started coming back to church as well. My daughter at the moment is having a little break. My youngest, I think they all have a residual faith. But sometimes you almost, like I did myself, I had a sabbatical from about 16 to 30. So, and then went back via an alpha group. So that's how I went back. Yeah. But you know, I think one of the things that I think is really important, and in fact, I was looking at one of Lucy's posts today, and somebody had said something about the Muslims and empty churches. I think and also weaving in Starmer and the fact that pretty much loads of them are Fabians. And so I told you know a little bit about the Fabian Society.
No.
So it started in 1884, and the idea was basically to just mission creep. So slowly take over all the institutions. So they have a word called permeation. Yeah. And so you permeate the schools, the unis, the churches. And so this has been going on. So it probably started in about the 50s. So going slowly developing. And so that's why you look at the Church of England, and I mean, just an absolute diabolical state. Outrageous. Sarah Mullally, outrageous. And so and because of this permeation, and let's take it away from the Bible, people have become more and more biblically illiterate. Whereas conversely, with the Quran, everybody is very literate and understand it inside out and back to front. And we've gone away from it, so we've lost those kind of tools for everyday living.
But also, let's go down the faith side then, because I mean, where is the Archbishop of Canterbury? She's nowhere to be seen. You know, I mean, I think you got like how many thousands of Christians are being murdered in Nigeria? Where's her statement on this?
Yeah.
Where is it? Nowhere to be seen. I met Justin Welby. Oh my word! What? Useless. And she's the same. She's too woke. I can't stand all this pious. Why do women bishops and priests have to look so butt ugly? Why can't they wear makeup and look feminine? They all look like a bunch of lesbians. Like, you know, they really wouldn't attract. I can't think of anything less attractive, quite honestly. But having said that, we have in the village next to me, I always call her the sparkly vicar. She is really lovely. She's always got all her stuff. I have a thing about, I think in another life I was a magpie. I love anything that sparkles, and she has beautiful earrings and lovely gowns. And but she's actually one of the very rare feminine looking ones. Because I live near Bedford. I'm in the middle between Luton and Bedford, right? And I saw the MP the other day for Bedford. She is Muslim, isn't she? And her mother was in prison for 10 years or 14 years. And she's, you know, it's dreadful what she's coming out and saying, and all of them. And I worry. I mean, I don't know, with your political hat on now, I worry about what's going to happen to this country. Now, maybe I am too much watching social media, but I do think they want a caliphate. I do really think that, and I think that where are any of the faith leaders? I mean, I'm not being funny. I mean, I was brought up a Catholic. I'm not that anymore, because I mean, goodness me, the rubbish they pour down your throat. But look at the Pope. He's sucking up to it. I mean, what? I heard someone the other day who was a Muslim. She was on a media program. I can't remember her name, but she said there are three types of Muslims. You've got the spiritual ones, of which she is, the gentle ones. Then you've got like autocratic ones. Then you've got the ones that are really wanting a caliphate, and they're out there supporting gangs. I do not believe in any religion. And politics have got this so wrong that is there any God that says when you die you can have 15 virgins up in heaven? What sort of brainwashing? And the way they believe, is it really, you would know more than I, is it really written in the Quran that you can go around raping white girls? Is it really?
There could be something. I think the thing is, Mohammed's wife was 6 when they got married.
Oh, charming.
I think it was consummated at 9, the marriage. So that's why it's not a problem. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we should all be very, very concerned about what is happening. I mean, seriously concerned, because if something's not done, I think we are going to be in serious trouble. Going back to the bishops, I think all of them have had their spines removed. Sarah Mullally, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't even think she's got a proper theological degree. I think she's come from NHS and Director of Complaints or something.
Yeah.
How, you know, personally, and this is quite controversial, I do like a male church leader. I'm not really. I think the women. It's not to say that women aren't great in church, because I think men and women are different and have different qualities that dovetail together.
I totally agree. I so agree with you, Gilly, that, you know, men and women are different, but if you respect each other's strengths and their differences, you can create an amazing situation instead of having a war of the sexes. You know, I mean, I think women should stand up for themselves. I think, you know, all my 4 kids are married, and the men all pull their weight. You know, I've got 3 sons and my son-in-law. They're brilliant husbands. They all help, and I don't think this misogyny, you know, that's going. You know, dads need to stand up and make more of a stance about the upbringing of their kids. But everyone is so woke. You get teachers. I mean, I don't like so much going into schools anymore, because they're coming out of woke universities, and these teachers are happy to go along with transgender and all of this, and that is illegal. I mean, going back to politics again, Burnham, Andy Burnham, he raised, and that needs to all be out there. Do we want him? No, I wouldn't. £100,000 he raised to back puberty blockers. That is outrageous.
Yeah.
You cannot and should not be using children as experiments. This is coming out in Nazi Germany. It's
absolutely like eugenics all over again, isn't it?
And he knew. I know he knew about the rape gangs, and they're not grooming gangs, they're rape gangs. He knew about them in Rochdale. He did absolutely naff all about it. There is no way he should be, parachuted in because these geezers want it. I mean, they're also breaking the labour rules, aren't they, of trying to get someone. I mean, do you think, your political hat on, I really don't like politicians. I think they're all as bad as each other. I think a lot of them start with grand ideas and then the blob or whatever it is dumbs them down, and they find they can't make the changes that they wanted to do. And I think, some good politicians end up being swamped by idiots around them. But do you think we should, is West Streeting right? That's what I'd like you to say. Is West Streeting right? Is it a selfish thing and the woman that started it, what was her name?
Catherine West.
Yeah. And now she's coming out saying she likes Starmer. So what a circus she's begun. I mean, can you unpick all that a bit?
So this Fabian thing, I think it's all part of that. Right. So I think that they are, it's a bit of a sort of a play that they're doing, and a bit of posturing and a bit of narrative and a bit of argy-bargy, and we're going to look like we're doing something. And because if you notice, all the numbers are just kind of coming shy of where they need to be. So I think it's all so it just looks to us kind of mere mortals that there was a bit of kind of like trying to sort Starmer out, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. And Burnham, he did great things apparently with buses, so he must be wonderful.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, excellent. So, but going back to the rape gangs thing, so I was working on something the other day. Because as far as I'm aware, people have tried to hold councils to account, but I thought to myself, well, what about the actual councillors, or what about the chief execs? Because, and you use the word blob, so, and most people use that term centrally, don't they? But 100%, every single council throughout the UK is probably a little microcosm of Whitehall. And I mean, the shenanigans that go on, the projects that are kicked down the road, so that, my experience was Conservative administration. Well, the officers, who generally speaking are not Conservative leaning, don't want the administration to look good, do they? No. So, but the work I'm looking at is to try and maybe see if there's a way of actually holding councillors.
Well, you see, this is the point I made. I was on Mike Graham's show yesterday, and I was making the point then that there's no sort of accountability. I mean, Jess Phillips, she was. I mean, the only person she was involved with safeguarding was looking after herself. I mean, and I do think that she has resigned because, that makes me look good because I'm now going to criticise Starmer. But it was only in March that she said he was the best man ever about violence against women and girls. Utter trash. I mean, smash the gangs. He couldn't even smash an egg, And then you've got, who is that woman? Oh my gosh, Alex Davies-Jones. I have done this job for 20 odd years. I have never heard of the woman, and she was appointed for violence against women and girls. Those women, and now they have replaced those two who didn't vote for the inquiry. They've replaced them with two others that didn't vote for the inquiry. So what is that telling us? That the cover-up will still go on. Jess Phillips did her damnedest to try and restrict the inquiry, which is actually destructive in itself. And we don't hear any updates of what's going on. I've tried to find. But how can these women, how can anyone, how can they just stay stum about it? Like this isn't happening in our country. I found another 5 girls that have gone missing yesterday alone, age 14. Why isn't anybody up in arms about that? I mean, I find it. If I find it, they can find it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The trials that are going on. Why can't we deport these people? Why do we have to pay for them in our prisons?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is bonkers.
Yeah, and it just brings in the whole kind of like increase of the Muslim kind of strength politically, and you know, and we're the infidel. It doesn't matter what happens, and we're women as well, so I think we're probably less than dogs, and they really don't like dogs. No. You know, so this is all part and parcel. But I thought it was really interesting. Did you see that was it at the weekend that Starmer has surrounded himself by Gordon Brown and Harriet Harman? So women and girls, and then Jess Phillips steps down. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. And then Harriet Harman's son, Joe Dormy, he is the Secretary General of the Fabian Society. And his dad was Jack Dormy, and he was inveigled in some kind of paedophile stuff or something.
Well, I'm not being funny. The Labour, I call it the nonce party. I mean, they are rife with it. The number of times I go through the news and the regions every day, maybe 10 times a day, even before 10 o'clock at night, to see what's going on, who's doing what. Time and time again, it is a Labour councillor. Yeah. There was a guy yesterday, he had done a 6,000 things or other. And I get so annoyed with this. These are not images. These are real children in real time being really raped in video for sexual gratification. And this guy who was actually, one of the councillors walked free, a suspended sentence. There was another guy who was in the police and he was filming children whilst he was a serving officer. Yeah. And he's walked free. What is going on? Yeah, I mean, what is wrong with these judges? I mean, I think a lot of
they're all part of it, aren't they?
Well, they are part of it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, they are. Yeah. I mean, wherever you look, from the top to the bottom and across, there are people at every strata of society. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, do you think there was a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scenes with Wes Streeting and Andy Burnham? Like, if I do this and you say this, and like negotiating secretly.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that that's what's going on. And they just, like I was saying, I think it's to make it look like there's a bit of infighting because, the electorate, that will shut them up a bit and we'll get them to back down. No, I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with the by-election.
Yes. You see, Andy Burnham could catch a real cold, couldn't he?
Because I think so.
I think he will. And I know he absolutely deserves it. Yeah. Because I don't think the British public are fair. And they won't like the way this has been orchestrated, is what I would say, deliberately orchestrated. And someone is saying, we'll have this person. No, that's not democratic. That's not how it works. Yeah. I would love to see him fall flat on his face where he ends up with nothing. Actually, he deserves it. Yeah. He deserves it.
I mean, it's a really strange move because actually Labour got about 20% in the last election in that constituency in Makerfield, and Reform did really well. They got over 50%. So that tells you a lot, doesn't it? That tells you that people are, and it's actually a traditional red wall seat.
Yes.
So, but people are looking more to just that sort of maybe towards a common sense kind of approach. And so people are now no longer blindly voting Labour, like, I've always voted Labour. So they're beginning to be a little bit more selective and think about it. And obviously people have a lot more access to social media as well. But that was a traditional like Labour stronghold seat. And if Labour are thinking that Andy's going to just trot over there and win it, I think they need to probably wake up and smell the coffee.
I think it's quite insulting the way they don't think, a lot of politicians don't think the general public have any intellect.
Yeah, I think they think that we're all stupid.
It's downright stupid, and it is insulting, and they deserve to fall on their own sword. I actually put a tweet out last night saying, do you know what, if we're talking about Manchester and around that way, I think Maggie Oliver should stand.
Yes.
Please give
my goodness. Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, everybody around the country supports Maggie, and I mean, I know Maggie for a long time. She knows me, and she's got more. She's got the foundation, so she obviously had money to set that up. But she and I know each other, well, and I always support her in anything that we can do, and I just despair at what an example these politicians have. What is it saying about? To the globe about, hey, we just ignore, we don't mind people getting raped by Pakistani people. And I've been saying for years that I am not racist. I'm not racist. I am not racist. But this is making me kind of racist because no one's dealing with it. And I've said for years, it is Pakistani, Bangladeshi. So when I went through only yesterday at some of the trials that are going currently round at the moment, I think there's now 16 I found current trials of girls being a couple of boys being sexually abused and exploited, right? Of those 16 now, 14 are Pakistanis, Muslim migrants, and 2 are white. I'm not saying white people don't do it, of course they do, but you cannot get away from it. Primarily
I mean, I think it's not about racism. It's we're kicking back against culture.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't do anything about your immutable characteristics, can you? If you've got brown skin or white skin, you can't do anything about that. It's the culture that's the problem.
Is a culture. Well, it isn't a culture that they've got, is it? It isn't a culture. I mean,
there is no culture.
It isn't a culture. They're just barbaric. I mean, if we went over to Pakistan or anywhere over there and said we're going to build a church, in fact, we're going to build one on nearly every street corner, and then we're going to go out on the corners and we're going to sing our hymns and preach the gospel. Good grief, we'd be sliced.
We've got to start going back to church, and I don't mean that in some kind of autocratic way, but you've got to go back to church. Or even if you can't do that, I think people need to get a Bible or have a Bible app. Just read the book of John, start to finish. And that's a start. And
I also think with these politicians as well. I mean, when I was trying to get my guy put in prison, which I did, but I was writing all the time. If you read, I think it was Romans. If you read, better that you walk through the depths of the ocean with chains around your neck than harm one of my children. Well, there. If you read nothing else, there is the threat. That is a Jesus quote. That is the threat. And you just ignore it.
I know, and
Mandela,
the brave person that ignores that.
Absolutely, and then you've got Nelson Mandela. Society will be judged by how we treat our children. Correct, and the politicians in this country suck. So, oh my God, I could sit debating this with you forever. Two things, because we've got to end in 3 minutes. 2 things. What would be your message to Keir Starmer today? And what's next for Gilly Baldock?
Gosh. So I think, and again, this might be a bit controversial, I think that he should stay where he is, because I do like a gift that keeps on giving. And oh dear. And gosh, what's next for me? Well, I guess so. I'm going to try and keep going with my fledgling sort of little Mentor Politicus. I do think there's a market for what I have to offer. It's just that I need the councillors to realise they've got to give me money to do it.
I'm the same. The amount of stuff I do for nothing, and nothing doesn't pay the bills, does it?
Yeah, I know. Somebody told me the other day, like, Gilly, right, it's like one and done. So, but there's so many things that, there's going to, all the time, there's going to be by-elections, councillors die, move on, etc. So there's always people that are new to the role. And, and what happens is the officers will suck them in. And if it's anything like where I was, they even do things like have honey traps. So they'll appoint an attractive officer to look after that cabinet member, because we want to get all our sustainability policies through. And it's easier with a low cut top. It's really, we're not talking rocket science here, but the left are very, very good at what they do. And you know, I know that you've got somebody coming on next week who I was very close to, and I'm really excited about that meeting.
Yeah.
But,
well, it doesn't matter because, you know, they're all going to have sex toys in Westminster. When I think it's so funny, this woman that wants to set it all up, but they'll actually be having a recess, won't they?
yeah, it's just ridiculous. But
Gilly, I hope you market yourself massively around the local councils, because that's what you need to do. Flood social media, because the voice of common sense, goodness me. I mean, I wish you well. I have a ball talking to you today, because you're on the, you know, like, you know, you haven't made me feel any better about politics, I have to say.
I'm so sorry. I don't think anybody could do that.
No, but I do thank you for your time. So obviously right now, really busy lady. So thank you so much. And do you know, this is why I like doing it, because everybody out there will learn more about, and it will give you a leg, because this also will be streamed across America as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
So thank you ever so much. Yes. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a real privilege. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, there we go. As I say, it hasn't made me feel any better, but what a lovely lady. And boy, could she got some great work with any new politicians coming up through the ranks. So absolutely wonderful. Loved it. And I hope you did as well. And I hope you learned a bit about politics. Probably I've left thinking it's exactly what I thought it was. But next time we're on, the lady that Gilly mentioned is somebody who is now... you know, mature, but she had a baby born that was it had lots and lots of issues, and this is close to my heart because of one of my little grandbaby daughters. So I think it's interesting to see, how does a parent cope when you're told that this is the baby that you've got, and how you navigate that. So again, this is going to be you know, one of those gritty moments. So take care, look after yourselves, God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.